All right. Good morning, everybody. It's time for Be Encouraged, and I have a special co-host on Tuesdays that's going to be hanging with me, and I'm really excited to introduce you to him in the future. We're both going to come up at the same time, but I just had to tell you about this guy. He's an influencer. He's a coach. Coaches are influencers. He's got his own radio show out there in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, y'all, the home of the Cornhuskers and all kinds of other good sporting teams. And he hosts a sporting show with his buddy. And it's exciting and happy. The main reason we have him on Be Encouraged is that he's a life coach, a coach for life for so many young people, young men in his life. And we're excited to introduce you to Mr. Derrick Pearson. He's also a TED Talks guy. So he's got his own TED Talk, and if you want to see that, you can go to YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Tell me the name of your show again. It's DP and Stevens show?
Yeah, it's DP and Stevens. It's on 93.7 The Ticket, and we call it Lincoln America.
Lincoln America.
Downtown Lincoln, Nebraska, covering the Huskers and sports in general. We have a good time with it.
That's cool. Well, I wanted to talk to you first. We're going to do 3 segments here, and the first segment I want to talk with you about what your life ambition is, and I believe I know that it is to, well, just tell us, what is your ambition in life? I know you haven't reached it. I know you haven't reached the pinnacle of where you want to be, because anybody who's worth their salt has never reached the pinnacle. I mean, I know, and I think you know, my pinnacle is getting there, and it's a journey. You know, tell me about a little bit about Derrick Pearson, and then we'll get into starting to co-host instead of me just interviewing you.
There are 2 facets to my day to day. One is working from the question, do I have your permission to tell you the truth? And that allows us to set a standard for what we're going to do. You can hold me accountable. I can hold you accountable, and we can hold us accountable. It simplifies everything that we do. And then the other part of it is you said, where do you want to go? And that's where a lot of people miss because they haven't set the GPS. And for me, I can't use objects as a mission. I have to use love as the ultimate GPS. And if I set that every day purposefully, then I can't get into the other stuff because the GPS will go off. If I'm going in a different direction, it'll say, DP, listen, you said we were headed towards love. This looks a little different. Can we, reroute?
Exactly.
And to do it constantly, even in personal engagements, personal conversations, business relationships, and then mentoring, whether it's adults or young people. It's if I start with, I'm going to love you. I'm going to love you. That's how that works. Once we set that, then we can go somewhere really cool.
That's awesome. Well, let me ask you this, and I'll put you on the spot a little bit. I mean, I know where I come from. I totally get so much more energy and so much more joy in mentoring and talking with young people. Is it the same for you? I mean, I know that you mentor adults. I've talked to adults and helped with, just walked through things with them. But I love just helping with the direction for young people.
Well, it's fascinating. When I'm coaching teams,
yeah,
some of the boundaries are preset and they're predetermined, right? Like there's a joy that happens when you can watch, lead, guide young people to the greater versions of it. Because the way I look at it is, if we as a nation are going to get it right, it has to be through the young people. It has to be, and
right. Absolutely.
to watch them be covered in love. And coaching to me is love, right? Some people say coaching is teaching. No. Parents drop their kids off and hand them to me and say, I'm going to come back. And when I do, I'd like them more loved than when they left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's practice for me. That's a game for me. That's in the locker room, the celebrations. I do this thing where I accept the less than, and all of the more than is theirs. So if
Mm-hmm.
we have to get right, I say, well, I have to get better for you guys. Like
Yes.
you win or learn, and
Yeah. Okay.
through that, it should be win and love because that'll get you through. That's why you're there.
Yeah.
I just coached the way I wanted. I wish that I had been coached
Yes.
through
Yes.
high school and college. Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree. I mean, I got thrown into accidentally the varsity head coaching soccer job for Falls Church High School. I mean, they had already signed somebody else. I was just an assistant JV coach kind of guy. Not a whole lot of I had my license with the FIFA and stuff, but these kids at the high school level have been through so much select soccer and all. They know more about technique and about the different types of warm-ups and all that kind of new stuff that's coming out every year with different coaches, And I know a fairly good amount about it, but I had players on my team that were playing at the academy at DC United. So I didn't have nearly the tickets that they are used to having as coaches. So only thing I could do was approach that I just loved on the guys, and I encouraged them and I helped, and we did stuff, but mostly they knew what they were doing. I had a game plan I set up, but I knew what they were. I'm a pretty good talent person, but those kids, man, they knew as far as soccer was concerned, they knew way more than I did as far as soccer. Now, as far as life was concerned, I had them trumped.
Yeah.
And and I looked forward to sharing my life experiences with them in order for them to be able to circumnavigate life and its travails and its obstacles.
Well, that's what makes you. That's what made you a mentor and a leader and an influencer, because the part that some coaches and mentors miss is that you have to live a life that is an example of what that young person wants to grow up to be.
Exactly.
Like you can't dumb it down for them or fake it with them, because they know authentic and they know real love. They know real goodness.
Right.
And you have to live that. You have to do it. Listen, and it's funny. I walked into a similar situation at Falls Church High School before I left Virginia with baseball. I got the call that, hey, we need you for baseball. Can you come in? And the situation was a little different in baseball. They were not as skilled, but we ended up going on a 5-game win streak to finish the season. I mean, it was not a good start, but the way and it might have been the best coaching job I ever did, because I removed all expectation. I said, we're just going to hang out and we'll play baseball, but we're going to learn how to dress ourselves, how to go to school, how we're going to manage the things that we want to do. And through that, the Love Prince mantra is loving and learning through sports. And while I'm coaching you sports, I'm teaching you life. And that's how the levels of success, and it crosses over no matter where I am in the country, that tends to work.
All right. So let's talk now together about what are the approaches specifically with young people. And let's set up, you got a young man who and how many times, Derrick, and how do you find out? There's so many times where I have late in the game found out the kind of lifestyle this kid comes from. I had kids on my team in Falls Church who had no parents. Their parents were back in El Salvador. Mm-hmm. They were here. They were getting completely all the time trying to get recruited into, MS or 18th Street or whatever it was.
Right.
And the reason they were here is so they wouldn't have joined the gangs in the first place. So soccer was their outlet. They had somewhere to go after school instead of back home where they had to, again, circumnavigate all these obstacles of guys saying, hey, man, you're El Salvadorian, you need to join us, that kind of thing.
Right.
And if you don't, we're going to beat you down. And, how do you figure out that kind of stuff before it's too late sometimes?
As a part of any program that I've walked into, walking in with, there's a thing called a 168, and it's an accumulation of several different coaching ideas from different great coaches around the country. But everybody has the same 168 hours a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Got it.
Good people have it, bad people have it. It's just a matter of what you do with it. And right. I asked on the first day of practice or tryouts, I said, listen, what you're going to do for me is tell me what you do with your 168, which is the greatest teaching tool ever for anybody. Because if I asked you what you do with your 168, you wouldn't know it until you actually sat down and put it together. And you go, because the greatest excuse for not having success, not getting assignments done, not taking care of ourselves, is that we do not have the time. But the truth is we have the time, we just have to organize it. So I have these young people write down what they do with their 168 hours, what they do with their 24 hours every day. And in that, you find out that some of the kids are babysitting for 8 hours a week. That affects anything that's taken, that 8 hours is taken away from academic time. It's taken away from training time. You'll find out that some folks spend 4 hours a week in spiritual development. And you find that out. You find out, okay, look, I've got to go home and I've got chores for an hour and a half. I get that on day 2 of the engagement. And what happens is, it's funny. Some kids will write it by pencil and it'll look like they spent all of 6 minutes on it. Some will type it up, and some will go the extra step and put graphs in and be able to define it and color code it.
But that tells you something there too.
It tells me everything.
Yeah,
They're wonderful personality profiles. And for parents out there, ask your kids today, what do you do? I mean, we had kids who would tell you, look, I spend 4 hours a day on social media. Well, that's fine if you're a 4.0, right? That's not fine if you're 2.5.
Right.
And then that allows us as the adults and leaders to go back and say, okay, let's take an extra 30 minutes, because then it becomes, hey, in basketball, if I want to get better at shooting free throws, what do? You shoot more free throws. Well, if you're bad at academics, what do? You need to study more. And then we get into the academic side of it and what needs to be done. So that's how we set it up in advance, and that usually gets me the information that I need. That. You're still muted. You're muted.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
My phone just rang and I didn't want to.
I fully understand.
I usually mute. In fact, you know what? Let's do that right now.
No, I fully understand.
The problem is I have.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just, yeah. It's muted again. There we go.
All right. So anyway, that's, those are the things that are so important for us as men, as coaches, as mentors for these young people, that I wonder if we want to, at times, what are some other approaches? Are there other approaches for other situations?
Well, I coach from 2 words: be present.
Yeah.
That's coaching. Showing up, showing love, and showing them how. Those things are simple, but they get lost in it. And sometimes it's a kid. Like I greet everybody that plays for me.
Yeah.
I greet them. You don't just walk in and start participating. There has to be some connection. And by day 4, I know whether somebody's having a good day, a bad day. If they had a bad day at practice, they had a bad day at school.
Right.
And I need that's my cue to ask the question. If they're having a good day, like, oh, look at you. What do you celebrate today? And here's the other part. The greeting and being present allows me to set the temperature for the room. I don't have to be the thermostat. I get to actually set the temperature. And when they walk in, and I say this to my players, and I do it early on, and I get as close as I possibly can, and I get the brow going, and then I say, here's lesson one. The smile is undefeated. And I say, you cannot offer that and have that power and not use it. So when you're a player and you walk in the room and it's, gimme, come get me, that sets the temperature. It gives me an excuse to ask, how was your day? It gives them an excuse to tell me, hey, coach, I'm having a good day. Hey, coach, I'm not having a good day. And then I have this other rule that says never choose the game or the practice over the player. Never choose why you're there over the people that you're there for. The people that you're there for are way more important. And so I have to, you know what? Run practice. Like I've got captains. Hey, get us through this drill. I need to handle this. And to show them that I mean what I said, that I show up, I'm on time, I'm there waiting for them. I show them love, and then I show them how. And that simplifies it in everything you do.
Are you coaching now, Derrick? Are you coaching?
Well, the pandemic made me make some decisions, and if you had some health decisions,
I do.
Conditions where you had to be careful, and I didn't want to be the guy who, and I'm not citing anybody that's coaching. I'm around coaches all the time. I speak to teams. I just do it from a distance. I still mentor young people, but getting into that environment in this vacuum was a little too iffy for me. And I do enough podcasts and I do enough with radio.
Yeah.
And covering the Huskers that it gives me enough team, and then covering sports in general. But that's usually enough. I made that decision. I'm not sure that how quickly I'll get back into it because it's a full vacuum for me. Like like I can't go in the shallow end. I need to dive in the deep end and go all the way in.
That's right. That's right.
So, but coaches and young people tend to find me. You can one off and you can show kids what they need to do, what's good for them, and that's what I spend up a lot of time doing.
Right, that's cool. No, and I understand that too. I mean, once you get committed to something like that, it sucks you in. I mean, it really does because you feel great. I know coaching for me, is really fun. And it's satisfying, and it feeds my soul, and so does this. So does doing this stuff, which I'm sure for you is a similar thing.
It really is.
I did and still do love being a coach. I think I will probably do something at a low level. Just start off with some like 8-year-olds or something like that. That's really the kids that I like to bring up, because I want to teach them stuff that they've never seen before. I want to show them things, especially in my life, through love. Like here's this big grimace looking dude, and he loves me with everything that he is, and kids get that. They understand that, and I'm a safe place for them, Lee
that part
is a safe place for me. And I can tell him things. Yeah, and I can tell Coach things. I can't tell you how many times as a security and safety person in the school system, the schools know because I make high contact with kids. The kids know that I love them and I care about them. I've had kids say to me, for instance, that, I'm stepping into a class while a teacher has to go do something, and I'm watching the class. And it's a smaller class, some kids who have some issues, at risk kind of things.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there and they're like going, Mr. Bailey, that teacher is the biggest jerk, oh my God, he's terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, no, he's here for you guys. You don't understand. Now, that's not always the case.
Right.
But in most cases, that is the case, that they're just there, but they have to manage them. And managing, really troubled kids can sometimes be very difficult, especially if you're not armed with the techniques to do that, like love. And I don't teach other people to love other people as far as teachers are concerned. Sometimes I try to touch base with them, but they're like going, "What do you know? You don't know how to teach. You're not a teacher." That kind of thing.
Well, if you explain to them what teaching is, that teaching
Yeah.
is love. Like, I'm here to love you. I need nothing else from you but the better version of you. Like I say it all the time. And then to tell players, be smart enough to love people that love you. And parents love you. Coaches love you. Teachers love you. And sometimes love is saying things that you need to hear rather than what you want to hear.
Right.
It's asking you to do what you need to do rather than what you feel like doing at that particular moment. And I say to kids all the time, pay attention when somebody's loving you. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, don't get caught up in the other thing. If somebody is willing to open their heart to you, let them.
Yeah.
Let them. And that whole thing, you'll be amazed how many times kids go, "Oh, that's what love looks like. That's what love looks like." And then it helps them, because it helps them know what love doesn't look like.
Right.
And that's almost a more important lesson. Is I had a coach who was a police officer back in the day. His name is Barry Larrabee. He's there in Arlington County, and he came to my neighborhood looking for. He was just driving through, and we were out there playing football, and he watched. He pulled over the car and he watched, and he pulled up and he goes, "Hey, young man, sir." I was like, "Sir? Oh, okay." "Sir, that's different, right?" He says, "Do you have a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah." And walked into the car, and that natural engagement isn't always good with a police officer, a young black kid.
He was in his cruiser and uniform and everything.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And he gets out, and he's all of 6'6", large man. And they called him Bear. He was Officer Bear. And he said, "Listen, I'm watching you play, and you're really good at this. Are you playing on a team somewhere?" And I said, "No, I wasn't going to play this year." And he goes, "Listen, I want you to play for me because I have a football team, and the guys your age, and would you do it?" And in that, he said, "Here's what I'm going to do." And what he taught me along the way was this: that there are good folks that look like me. There are bad folks that look like me. Pay attention. Be present. And the people who love you, run to them. Run to them. He said, if you notice this thing, pay attention to what people run to, because that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that matters. That's the stuff that we should be running to. And he's one of my favorite coaches ever. I mean, I am a pool of great coaches, but Barry Larrabee did more for me in a short period of time than any grown up in my life.
Is he still with us?
I'm not sure. I got him. I did a blog and wrote about him, and I heard about it from his family. I'm not sure. I need to find that out.
Okay. No, I'm just curious because those are the things that are edifying to us. Also, don't need it. But when someone comes to you later and says, "Dude, you don't know the impact you had on my life," it's like, wow, that's cool. I'm glad. Now, I give credit where credit is due. And so when someone says to me, "Man, what you did for my life, it was remarkable," and I just, like you said, "Do you mind if I'm honest with you?" And they say, "Yeah, no, yeah, sure." That was God, and that's who gives me. That's where I ask him to direct what I do. So if I did something to make you feel like your life was worth or important or whatever, that's because he directed me to do it.
Yeah, and you and I have had this conversation that I have a foundation called Love Prince, and it's a hand and a heart. The heart is love. The hand is action. Love without much action doesn't accomplish anything.
That's right.
And action without love doesn't accomplish anything good.
Right.
But together, you can accomplish anything. And when I speak about love to the masses, the good-hearted folks fully understand right away that God is love in that equation.
Yeah.
When I speak about love, I'm speaking about being godly. I'm speaking about the better version, the higher version, the more uniting version of us, right? That we speak of love from us, for us. And I do that because some people will lean back away from because they need to reevaluate what you're telling them. And there are those that lean in because they know already that something good is there waiting for them. No matter what we speak of when we speak of love, if we action in it, and this is some of the things that coaches miss, you have to not only love them, but you have to be active in it. You have to be active in it.
That's
and
right.
The other part of it is coaching, mentoring, parenting is love out loud. If you see something good, say something good. And in the power in that removes the greatest regret that any of us will ever have, which is loving something or somebody and them not knowing.
That's right.
Them not knowing. So
right on.
Yeah, that's the way that we work is you're gonna know that I love you.
Yeah.
There will be no mystery.
Right.
Everybody else will have to figure it out. That's none of my business.
That's right.
It's like, no, that dude loves me. And that's
that's right. Well, I love you, Derrick Pearson, and we are wrapping up the show. It's coming to an end. We've had a great show today. This has been a lot of fun. I guess we'll have to next Tuesday. We'll have to talk about who's going to win the Super Bowl because we'll already know who's going to be in the Super Bowl. And right now, I'm saying Green Bay and Kansas City. I don't know where you stand on that, but
I stand in that lane because we have been in the recycle of things in life, and the NFL and sports tends to do that. And this Super Bowl, in the weirdest of times ever, to throw us back to the beginning and the very first Super Bowl, which was Green Bay and Kansas City.
There you go, man. There you go. Absolutely. All right, Derrick Pearson, it's been Be Encouraged. I hope you've been encouraged today. Everyone out there, I hope Derrick and I have had an opportunity to at least touch you in some way that makes you feel like God is good. And so I want to say to my MOG here, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next Tuesday. This is a fun time. All right, man. Bye.